My name's Mookie from 88.5 FM. This is the Here at Home interview series. We're joined by Raye Zaragoza at this very moment. And where are you right now?
I am in Long Beach, California, in my tiny little studio apartment, not too far from the beach.
So you're a local, maybe not born and raised here, but we claim you as a local now. Originally, you're from where?
Originally from Manhattan, New York City.
What an interesting place to grow up.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, super interesting. I mean, you grow up very fast in New York City, that's for sure. For better or for worse.
No, I imagine so. And you're probably thanking your lucky stars right now that you're not living in New York City with
Oh my goodness.
everybody's just kind of on top of each other.
I know. I'm really grateful because I can socially distantly go to the beach. And in New York, I was living with multiple roommates or in really tiny studios, and it would be incredibly uncomfortable right now. So my love goes out to all my New York friends.
So did you were you doing music before, or did you relocate to Southern California specifically for music, or just to kind of get away to a different coast?
So I actually moved to LA when I was 14 with my family for high school. And then I moved back to New York when I was 21. And then I moved back to LA when I was 24. So I've kind of been back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
And I love them both for different reasons, but I definitely prefer pursuing music full time in California because New York just the cost of living is so high.
Yeah, I think that's kind of funny. Now you're in Southern California. It's not, it's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
No, let's just say.
A little cheaper than New York. Yeah.
RayeZaragoza.com is the website. We'll talk about all the stuff, all the merch, and all the live streams that you're involved in right now, which I think is very, very cool. So our first introduction to your music is with this brand new song, The It Girl. I think that it was Andy, our music director, who found the song somehow, and he played it for us on a virtual music meeting on one Friday. Cool. And we put it right into rotation because I feel like it was great. And as soon as we started playing it, our Twitter was blowing up. I even got an email by a listener, and the feedback was exceptional.
That's so cool. I love to hear that.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing. And, we're in the position as a non-commercial sort of public radio station where we could take a chance on a record and do some different things. So it's my pleasure to be able to support some independent artists like yourself and some voices that aren't normally heard on commercial radio. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So even though this is our first introduction to you with this brand new single, you've kind of been there, done that already. You've played a bunch of stages. You've been involved in music conferences in the past. I think Pace Magazine said, and I'm paraphrasing, that you're one of the most politically relevant artists of our day in your particular genre, with songs like American Dream, Fight Like a Girl, Driving This Standing Rock, and of course, The It Girl. Which is an exceptional song. I don't want to pigeonhole you into any particular genre, but if someone asked you on the street or at a coffee shop on the beach, whatever, what kind of music you play, what do you tell them?
Someone came up to me a few months ago or like a year ago, and they're like, you know what your genre is? They were like, it's woke folk. And I was like, that's a cool genre.
Yeah.
And so, I write folk music, singer-songwriter music, but I always seem to write songs that have some kind of underlying message. And so, I don't know. A lot of people have called it protest music or social justice music. And for me, they're just stories. It's like folk music with a message, or just folk music, or folk pop. Who knows?
I feel like a while ago, not too long ago, protest songs of yesteryear are like few and far between. Somebody asked me who's doing protest songs now, and this was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Now I feel like it's a little bit different. I also just watched the video for The It Girl, and it's a great concept. It's exactly what I had envisioned the video to be, actually, for that particular song. Yeah, it's great. We encourage people to check it out. Again, RayeZaragoza.com. people can watch all the videos and get more information right there. But man, it's a song that, no matter what gender or race or creed or color, I feel like it's extremely relatable, and it's not a
Wow.
song that's like, wow.
That's cool to hear. That was really cool to hear from you because, when I wrote it too, sometimes when you write lyrics that are so specific, like the opening lyric of the It Girl is, I could tell I was living in a world that wasn't made for brown-skinned girls. And so I was like, am I writing a song that only brown-skinned girls are going to relate to? And you always think about that, and you're like, screw it. And so hearing that from you means a lot, because I think sometimes the more specific you go, actually the more relatable it gets.
And you know what? It's also a song, not just sonically, the way it sounds with the production and stuff, but lyrically, it's not a song that, I mean, you're speaking about some social stuff that's going on in the world, but it doesn't like put you down in the dumps. It's an uplifting song. You know what I mean? Yeah. And also I was reading online that this song might be part of a greater LP that's coming really soon, but we don't have a title of the record yet. And,
Not yet.
it says summer 2020, maybe, I think is what it said.
Well,
So
now it's all very elusive.
Right. Did you have to push back the record because of COVID-19, or is it still kind of, okay.
Yeah, not too far, but yeah, everything's been pushed back a little bit. Yeah, as many artists have pushed back. Yeah, it's just kind of going with the flow, which is the cool part of being independent, kind of make our own schedule anyway.
So how many songs are in the can, or are you basically ready to release it,
Well, they're all done. They're all done. It should be out in a few months. I think we have two more singles coming out before the record comes out. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
There are some EPs, I believe, that are floating around that people can get their hands on. Is that correct? Records like Heroin. And there's a live record at Rockwood Music Hall.
Yep.
Where's that?
That's in New York City.
Is it?
Yep. Back in my old stomping grounds.
I've been to one venue in New York City on a visit there. I saw the band The Bravery a long time ago at the some ballroom.
Bowery Ballroom.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
That was so long ago
Paragram.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I walked past CBGB once, but that was after it was CBGB. It turned into a John Varvatos retail store, but I wanted to see where it was, of course. Also a full-length record, I believe, Fight For You is available right now too. Right on. This producer that you linked up with, I know very little about him, but when I looked him up, I mean, he's produced Roseanne Cash, Case Lang and Veers. There's a song that they wrote and recorded called Best Kept Secret that we still play. It's so good. And there's a Silver Lake reference, so I'm a sucker for that. My Morning Jacket, Modest Mouse, Avett Brothers, The Decemberists. His name is Tucker Martine. Yeah, I believe. How'd you link up with him? And is this the first time you worked with him?
First time I worked with him, it was such a crazy dream situation. I basically was listening to the radio driving down Venice Boulevard in Los Angeles, and a Blind Pilot song came on called Don't Doubt. I literally had to park my car and just said to myself, I said, whoever produced this song is going to produce my music. Like, I don't care. It's going to happen. And then I just kept driving. This is a weird moment. And then when my manager asked me, so who do you want to produce the record? Like, who's the dream? I was like, Tucker Martine, who produced the Blind Pilot record. And she was like, all right, well, let's start at the top. Let's start at the dream. We just tracked him down. I just was very persistent. I probably texted his number a few times, like, hey, I was wondering, because we had our initial phone call, and it was one of those, we talked for 2 hours about music, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need this person to create my record. And obviously he's incredibly busy, but we made it happen, and we scheduled a time, and we made a record, and it was definitely very surreal.
So far what we've heard, it sounds great. And you talk about tugging at your inner heartstrings. Blind Pilot. Yeah, I know. You're preaching to the choir over here. We know all about that musical project. They actually came by a couple of years ago, right around the release of the song Umpqua Rushing, and they performed on the air. Yeah, check it out. It's online. You can find it on our website, the interview. And
wow, I will look it up. Wow, yeah, that's incredible.
Pretty sure it's out there somewhere. You have been versatile and adapting to COVID-19, this whole crisis. And like so many artists, you are taking to the internet to do some live streaming.
Yeah.
I went on your website, RayeZaragoza.com, and there are no tour dates. However, there are a couple shows on there. I believe the 13th of this month, it's the studio apartment tour, and it's live from the piano.
Yeah.
And then on the 27th of this month, it's again the studio apartment tour live from the patio.
Yes.
So that's cool. Have those been going swimmingly, and have you already done several in the series?
Yes, they have been so fun. I think we've had at least 12 so far, 12 episodes of the studio apartment tour. And it's been really challenging to find a new spot in this studio apartment every 2 weeks. But we've had live from the refrigerator, live from the bathtub, live from the floor, live from the bookshelf, like all kinds of stuff.
Brilliant.
And it's live from the closet. That was actually one of the better acoustically. That was great.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
It's been really fun because you got to get creative. I mean, everyone's stuck at home and everyone is not on the road, so it's got to keep everyone entertained, and it's entertaining me too. And so it's been fun.
Do you find that you have a growing fan base right now on the internet or otherwise?
Yeah, I do. I have this really incredible tight-knit fan base that's been with me for a while. And, the people who show up to my online shows, like, come every single week. Like, they're very dedicated. But it's been great because I definitely have been growing my online fan base because people are looking for new music, and I feel like there's this movement of people really looking for independent artists and looking to support folks who are not, on commercial radio. So that's been really awesome. And whenever I find someone new, it's exciting because I'm like, oh, usually I make fans on tour, but now it's completely different. So yeah, it's been cool.
Have you discovered certain artists these days that you're digging?
Yeah. Who have I been listening to? Oh my gosh, so many. Well, I'm a big Field Medic fan. I've been listening to his music recently a lot. The Oshima Brothers, all indie bands, Lizzie No, Rainbow Girls, so many good folk artists.
Oh, Rainbow Girls. I think they're from the Bay Area, right?
They are. Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh my gosh, someone turned me. Oh God, you just reminded me. I have to email somebody about that. But
I'm glad I reminded you.
Write this down.
Write it down.
So funny. So funny. I think they sing together beautifully.
Oh my goodness, so good.
Yeah. You're doing a Patreon right now, and that's another way to support independent artists. I've been going on the air and on these interviews, and I tell people that, touring and live shows have come to a dramatic halt. But if you want to support some artists, go online, buy some merch, buy a record. And there's this Patreon thing, which is going on right now. Mike Doty from the band Soul Coughing.
Mm-hmm.
He's a prolific producer and a solo artist now. He's just fantastic. He takes the Patreon thing extremely seriously.
Wow.
And
what's his name?
Mike Doty.
Oh, Mike Doty. Okay. I need to check out his Patreon because that's awesome.
He's a good guy, a published author and a fantastic musician, and he is dedicated to his fan base who donates on his Patreon account, and he's providing original content on there all the time.
Yes.
And again, there are different tiers of how you can subscribe to him. So tell us a little bit about your Patreon.
Yes, I will. I love talking about Patreon so much.
Do you?
So
that's cool.
Yeah, I started Patreon in February of 2018, so it's been over 2 years. Wow, which is wild. But when I started it, a lot of people had no idea what it was, and I think it's finally. I mean, artists, like pretty big artists, are on Patreon now. It's incredible. Like so many bands that I've opened for are now on Patreon, and I'm just so fascinated. But basically, my Patreon account is I call it my record label because I'm an independent artist, so I've officially started a record label with my fans, and we're called Rebel River Records. And by being a part of the Patreon, you are a part of the record label. And so you hear the music first, you see the videos first. I post poems every Tuesday. I post demos. I pretty much live update all of my creativity onto the Patreon. So like my Patreon's almost like my musical diary. And everyone who's on there, I have like 200 plus members of the label.
Wow.
They have like a real front seat,
To the creative
look
process.
into the creative process for me. And it's helped. I mean, I had 20 songs I was choosing for this record, and I was going to narrow it down to 10. And I literally uploaded every single demo and asked my patrons to vote on their favorites. And, we took that into account when we chose the songs. And so it's really incredible. I don't know what I would be doing right now as an independent artist without touring if I did not have my Patreon. It's a lifesaver right now. So yeah, check it out, everyone. It's patreon.com/Raye Zaragoza, and it's the best. Patreon rules.
Gosh, we should get the word out for other artists, who need the help right now during this economy. DIY artist consulting, you doing that too?
Yes. I also, I coach and consult DIY artists, do-it-yourself artists, independent artists, and basically it's just me talking really fast and people take notes, and I'm just like, there's so many ways you can be making money. And a lot of times as artists, we think that we're supposed to be broke until we make it, but really you can thrive in so many small ways that all collectively make a thriving career. And Patreon is one of those ways. And so I coach on Patreon, I coach on social media, and like all kinds of stuff for artists.
That's incredible. Again, Raye Zaragoza is here. This is the Independent 88.5 FM. I'm not sure if I really need to do that because it's a video medium these days, but I think we're actually going to start to post the audio on as a podcast,
Podcast.
Right. As a radio station now, we have to think like we're a multimedia entity, and that's video and all kinds of content blasted out everywhere.
Yeah, we've all had to adjust. It's like we defined ourselves as one thing, and in COVID life now we're so many different things. I started a podcast too because I'm like, well, I have time on my hands, so I might as well use my time to do more stuff.
Oh my God, what's the subject matter?
So the podcast I am doing is me and my friend Erica Elon Siganik, who is a painter. And the podcast is called Create Well. And the tagline is, it's an exploration of the intersection of creativity, wellness, and entrepreneurship. And so we basically talk about basically what I was saying before about like thriving without fame, and about kind of moving on from the starving artist stigma and creating your own whole life in whatever way it looks best for you as an artist. And so it's cool because I come from the music standpoint, she comes from the visual art standpoint, and they overlap and intersect in different ways. And
right.
Yeah, we've only had one episode so far, but it's been great.
No, that's cool. The entrepreneurial thing is just so key these days. I mean, you got to be more than just an artist who's playing in the corner of a packed coffee shop or something these days.
Because the coffee shops have no dine-in. Yeah,
No, that's true. Would it be difficult to get a band together right now if you were to do a performance somewhere, some way?
Oh, I would have if someone was like, we have a show for you, you got to do this thing now. I'd be like, no problem. Calling everyone I know, like, we're all going to stand 6 feet apart and we're going to get on a stage and we're going to rock out. Like, it's funny because I've been having a great time not touring, and I've made the most of it. I've adjusted, but as soon as I'm given any opportunity to play a show, it's like 2 minutes, I'll be like running out my door with my suitcase and with my guitar, like, let's go.
Well, that's good to hear. We're trying to put together a drive-in concert. I don't know if that's going to happen. It's not easy, and that's why not a lot of people are doing it quite yet.
Yeah.
But hey, I might, maybe reach out.
Let me know. Like I said, I'll be running out the door with my guitar and my suitcase ready to go. Yeah. That's
cool. Do you come from a musical or creative family? I read online, I think Wikipedia, that your dad did some Broadway.
Yeah. Yeah, so my dad, when I was a kid, he's a mariachi. He played mariachi music as a trumpet player. So that was my first exposure to music. And then when I was also a child, he was on Broadway. He played Chief Sitting Bull and Annie Get Your Gun.
Wow.
So, and my parents didn't believe in babysitters when I was a kid. So they would have us stay backstage and watch the show every single night until 11 o'clock. And then we get to go to sleep when the show was over.
Oh boy.
So but it was cool because I got to watch like theater and stand in the wings and see what it was like for Bernadette Peters to sing in front of thousands of people. And so in my head as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, I knew that that was possible. You know, I was like, okay, if I want to do this, I can do it because she's doing it right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful for that experience. But yeah, that was my first exposure was mariachi music and then musical theater.
Did that help you not ever have like butterflies in your stomach when it came to taking the stage? Because, you know, I'm very self-conscious. Like when I have to do a stage announcement or announce a band or something, I just feel people's eyeballs on me. Did you just kind of have a knack for that? Is it easy for you to do? Has it always been easy?
You know, it kind of has, because when I was younger and maybe it wasn't so easy, I don't remember it anymore, you know, because I've been performing on stage since I was very young, like 4 or 5 years old. I was doing dance recitals and since I was like 5 years old.
Sure.
And so I've been doing it for so long, but it's interesting because I've always said that I feel more comfortable on stage than I do off stage. And I actually get far more nervous for interviews like this than I do for playing live in front of 1,000 people, which is so interesting because also speaking on the fly for me is way more nerve-wracking than playing a set that I've played over and over and over again for years, you know? So it's
I could
interesting.
see that. I get that. Yeah, totally. I have a 2-year-old daughter now, and boy, before we went into she's still so super young, but artists would come into the radio station and I would bring her up and she would just sit around and be around the instruments and the gear and the live music. And I think it's so cool to be able to get her acclimated to that.
Yeah.
At an early age, you know, not only that.
I think it is so important. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have music playing in the household 24/7, you know?
Yeah. I think the reason it's so important at that age too is just to know that it's possible. Because I think that, something that I value having grown up in New York City was that I grew up with a lot of kids who were already working actors and working musicians, even in middle school. And so I wasn't one of those kids,
Wow.
but to me, there was never a doubt in my mind that it wasn't possible. Whereas some of my friends who grew up in smaller cities who didn't see it on a regular basis, I think it took a lot of that confidence boost of whether or not it was actually possible to make a living off of art. But for me, I saw it every day. My neighbors next door were costume designers. My neighbors on the other next door were painters. And so to me, everyone was a working artist. So of course I could do it. There was no doubt in my mind, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's incredible. Well, it's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
And I can't wait to get back to normal life. You know, it's just, it's killing me.
I know.
You know, yeah, I haven't seen my folks since March, you know, and that's coming soon. We all took a COVID test recently, so we're all good. And they're dying to see their grandbaby, and I am dying to get a babysitter so I could sleep in and, you know, not chase the toddler around the house. It's been crazy. It's been crazy.
Goodness, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, you know, I want to look back at the, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, something happened. You
Really?
disappeared. But anyway, I want to look back at this time and think how wonderful it was to get extra family time rather than how pissed off I was because I couldn't get all my work done or something like that.
Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can't imagine what you're going through because I live alone. So my quarantine sorrows is I'm so lonely, but it's a lot easier than I have a lot of people to take care of.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier.
It's different, I guess. It's different. Yeah. Fortunately, we're able to all do our radio shows from home, and it was quite easy to figure out, believe it or not. You know, I always wanted my home studio, but not like this. And the way that it happened so fast. And all of a sudden, you know, we got our microphones and our little mixing boards and the computers, and we're up and running. It's crazy how we've adapted. You are an inspiring individual. I feel like you're wise beyond your years with the subject matter and the music that you've been writing as of late. Please keep us updated with all the cool stuff that you've been doing.
I sure will. Yeah.
Cool.
Hopefully we'll see each other at a drive-in.
Yeah, you never know. That's coming together, whether it's Orange County or Los Angeles. Hopefully it'll be happening soon. Anything else to touch on before we kind of wrap it up and do other things?
That's it. Thank you to you, Mookie, and thank you to everyone listening. This has been awesome. And so be sure. Oh, if you're finding me for the first time, be sure to send me a DM, a message on any platform with purple hearts, and that's how I know that you found me from this interview.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're a smart cookie there. All right. A pleasure. And I'll talk to you real soon. Keep up the good work and tune in. Long Beach is kind of shoddy with our signal, but you could stream us. And I'm sure
Cool.
we're playing your song all the time, so you might catch it.
Yay! Thanks for playing it.
You got it. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Goodbye.